All right, Dirty Sports episode 820 live on YouTube in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andrew.
Good afternoon, Joey. We're doing a pod.
It's time for that pod. Late Monday pod, pre NCAA basketball finals pod.
Yeah, man. How about that?
We'll roll right into it here.
How about that Duke UNC game?
Yeah.
I think we all expected it was going to be good. It was an all-timer. Absolutely amazing.
And that's the way Coach K goes out.
Not going to lie. I kind of love it. And for the record, I've always rooted against, usually, I don't know how many years I've rooted against Duke and UNC.
Yeah.
But I was pulling for UNC. I don't know. I just like that his rival ended his career at Cameron, ended his career coaching.
It's weird because Coach K is kind of the Tom Brady of coaches. And you love to be like, I don't know. I just want to see history, man. I just like seeing goat shit. I just like seeing, you want him to go out on top. And then Duke, you're like, fuck that dude.
No, I'm not saying that. I don't know. I think it was cool. I like Carolina. I like how they play. I love that it's Hubert Davis's first year. To me, I know they're North Carolina and I know they're a blue blood and they have a history, but I don't care. It's your first year. You make it to the championship game. That is something to be, that's such an accomplishment. I don't care who you are. They were an 8 seed, which again, I didn't follow it like you closely enough. I'm seeing them. How are they an 8 seed? They're a really good team.
Yeah.
And for the record, Coach K, okay, you get ready, dirtballs, get ready for an Andy Ruther hot take off the start. I think Brady's is way more impressive than Coach K career. I'm just saying, Coach K's got 5 titles.
And how many titles who has the most titles in NCAA basketball history?
It's got to be Wooden.
Right.
I'm just saying, Duke has had some teams. I don't know.
You got to remember though, Coach K also during those, there was the original kind of Coach K run. How many did he get right out of the gate? And then guys start going to the league after a year, after 2 years.
So Wooden has 11. And Coach K is 5. Dean Smith 2, Roy Williams 3. I mean, look, no, I'm not saying anything away from his career. He had a great career. He's also had some amazing talent.
Yeah, that's part of his career.
Yeah. I to this day don't know about coaching. I don't understand the percentage when it comes to a college coach of recruiting versus coaching. I think it's tough to tell a lot of times.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's fair to say at this point, John Calipari, great recruiter, probably not the best coach.
Yeah. I mean, we've known that for a long time. But Coach K is one of those guys you're like, I don't know. I mean, he seems like maybe, but then you have these coaches for the mid majors that get a bunch of seniors on their team and they make a run. And then those guys always end up getting a big job and then they wash out. So, Coach K is a guy who's had a job at one of the elite schools for a long time. He's always there. He's won 5 times. He's right up there. Especially
sure.
when you consider Wooden did Kareem and Walton. I mean, I think that's 5 championships right there, right?
It's a lot. I don't know, but it's a lot.
I mean, we know from last night's winning time, Kareem won 3 there.
Yeah, for sure. Good episode. Good show. I like it. I like seeing the history of the Lakers, and I have the book now, so I'm plowing through that. And I think I'm hearing rumors we might get the author, Jeff Pearlman, on our show.
There's talks. Negotiations have begun. We have tentative dates planned. Jeff, great dude from right by where I'm from in Westchester, a couple towns over. Wrote the elite 1986 Mets book, The Bad Guys Won. Wrote an awesome USFL book, which I interviewed him about on the Joe Prano podcast, where we found out that we have not only linked by our 914 childhoods, but also we are both very good friends with two separate members of the infamous rapping boy band Bad Ronald, what would have been the next coming of the Beastie Boys, although their album drops on 9/11/2001. We're friends with two separate guys, Doug Ray, who's obviously provided a lot of podcast jingles for me over the years. And so that just a lot of Jeff Pearlman connection. So I reached out to him, and he's thrown us a tentative date to come on and talk Winning Time.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Like I said, I bought Showtime. Everybody should buy it. And it's on Amazon. It's on everywhere. But it's one of those, I told you before the show, that you can't put down. So like, it's a fairly lengthy book. I think it's like 450, 475 pages. But like I'm 40 pages in, and it went like that. Like I had to put the book down to go to bed, and I didn't want to. So yeah, I look forward to talking with him about that and about the show and all these wild stories about the Lakers and the dynasty and how everything came to fruition. But you're right. Going back to what we were talking about, college basketball, Kareem got, his start obviously at UCLA, and Wooden has to be the best coach of all time.
Sure.
Right. I mean,
even, you talk about like, it's kind of that. It's very similar to the Bill Russell versus the Jordan sort of LeBron comparison. It's like he has 11, but he has 11 in a time where he gets a couple of like the elite big men, guys that are like above and beyond what anybody had seen prior to that, and gets them in there. And during that era gets it. But like we said, recruiting is a big part of it, but certainly a time, obviously he develops. He has a great system.
By the way, real quick, sorry, he won 10, not 11. 10. I was wrong.
So, but a big chunk of that is getting two elite big men who basically single-handedly take him to championships.
He won 10 titles in his last 12 years before retiring. That's unbelievable. 10 titles from 64 to 75, including 7 straight.
Yeah, so Bill Walton, 2 and 3-time National Player of the Year.
That's a dynasty right there. That'll never, ever happen. The closest thing we'll see to that we have seen that in college sports has been Alabama under Nick Saban. And they're not winning that many in a row. I mean, that's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, Kareem won 67, 68, 69. He's the most, he's the 3-time National College Player of the Year, 67, 68, 69. And then you get Walton, 72, 73, 74. So you get a 3-year break between two big men that are 3-time National Players of the Year. That's bananas.
That's pretty wild.
I mean, has anybody ever been 4-time National Player of the Year? Yeah. Can't be.
Well, now because with guys going pro.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I do think Kansas is going to win tonight.
You do?
I do.
I'm betting the house on North Carolina.
I'm rooting for North Carolina. I just think.
But you think Kansas wins?
Well, I feel like they've flown under the radar, as weird as that is, being a 1 seed and they dominated Nova. I know Nova was out with one of their star players, but like they looked pretty good this tournament. I do think they win.
Yeah.
I think it's tough that game is there's so much emotional energy when you play your rival. And I think I'm not saying like you're not up for the championship game. Of course you're going to be up for it, but I think like emotionally it's just draining to come back again 2 days later.
Yeah.
And bring that same energy. But I will be rooting for Carolina. It is funny, like, because I think Bill Self, and then I know Bill Self in Kansas, they were in the middle of all that Adidas scandal and just nobody's even talking. Not that I care. Nobody's even talking about it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty stereotypically college basketball.
Yeah.
I'm making an adjustment to my setup here and going full Dirk with the holding the microphone. Hold on.
Hey, do it. It's not a bad look from one of the legends of NBA history. I did just get a text from Randy Ruther.
Yeah, how's Randy doing? We haven't heard from him.
You better give love to the 2022 NIT champions. Too funny.
Which is who? Ohio State?
No, Xavier.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. What's the equivalent of winning the NIT? Making out with your second cousin? Like, what's the equivalent?
No, I feel like it's more honorable than I think the NIT is like a good tournament.
You do?
Because here's the thing. I think the winner of the NIT it is better than a lot of teams that get in, don't you think?
I do.
Because those, you got whoever wins the Patriot League doesn't necessarily belong in the top 64 teams in the country. And that's me. That's coming from me, a Patriot Leaguer. Because the NIT, is it still at the Garden every year?
Yeah. Well, this is the contract ends this year and it had been there since the early 30s. And now they're saying most likely next year is Vegas or I forget where else. So it's finally going to end.
So the reason I bring it up is I've gone to many an NIT game at the Garden growing up. And the thing about NIT games that I remember specifically is a lot of times it would be schools that are, big-ish schools, like, major schools that didn't put together their best team, but a lot of times have like an elite player.
Sure.
And that's it. But the thing is, we've seen it in the NCAA tournament all the time where an elite player carries a team basically by themselves, to the Sweet 16, to the Elite Eight. So I bet you over the years, there's been some Sweet 16 teams that won the NIT that had that kind of ability. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I know.
The NIT's not the worst basketball tournament ever.
No, it's not. I just think like my point was saying is the equivalent of making out with your cousin, because as a player, I agree with you. You're just like,
you're like making out with a woman is going to the NCAA tournament. Incest is the NIT.
Yeah.
That was your.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I don't know what the equivalent is.
I think the equivalent is something more like, when you go to a restaurant and you're like, can I get a Coke? And instead of being like, oh, we don't have Coke, we have Pepsi. They're like, oh, sorry, we don't have Coke, we have Tab. Sorry, we don't have Coke, we have RC Cola. And you're like, excuse me? You mean Pepsi, right? And they're like, no.
What do you mean you don't have Coke? What kind of establishment is
I mean, I was already mad that you were going to serve me Pepsi. Now you're serving me Kirkland Cola? No. Yeah.
Dude, so my little brother wants to go on a Vegas trip with Goldberg.
I think everybody who's ever listened to the show wants to go on a Vegas trip with Goldberg.
He's like, he texted me. He's like, dude, next year, March Madness, let's go with Maddie. And I'm like, okay, man. But I go, part of the experience was just driving from LA. Like, we're going to fly. How's Maddie getting there? Like, how's he getting there if I'm not driving him?
Yeah. Well, you should fly to LA and drive Maddie. That's part of the experience.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm holding my microphone on a stick like I'm fucking Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. Yes, this is a great podcast for me to poop on.
I love Triumph, man. That's right up my alley of humor.
It was so good.
Yeah, I saw him live. In Las Vegas.
Is it just like a hand coming over through a table?
Yeah, I know we've talked about this on the show before if you go back, but yeah, I got a bunch of free tickets. They used to do the comedy festival there. And when I worked at Caesars, we'd get comp tickets to a lot of shit. And I saw a bunch of comics one night. It was just like, you got all free comics one night. It was like Jim Gaffigan, Harlan Williams, Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, Frank Caliendo. And yeah, so what happens is, and this was at the Coliseum where Celine and Elton perform. I forget who has the contract now. So on already a giant stage is a small little stage.
Yeah.
And the puppet's out, goes up through it, and he's like hiding behind it. Like I actually had good seats, but I was high up. I was more central location for the show. But yeah, and then he just makes jokes and he just rips on people, and then he'll rip on people in the crowd or make fun of stuff. Yeah. I come to think of it, I don't really remember what the hell, how was his set? What the hell is he talking about?
He's like, yes, I'm in Vegas. Okay. I'm going to get a hooker tonight. Just a couple of different bitches.
That's literally what it is. And you know what? Here, the craziest part, I don't remember who I went with. A couple people I worked with, and I definitely enjoyed Triumph the most, like of those 3 or 4 coworkers. Because
I picked up a multi-poo at New York last night. Turns out she was a working bitch.
I'm not sure at this point if I didn't see you. Was that you? Was that you behind the stage? Were you Triumph? Is that still a thing?
Triumph? No, because Conan's not a thing.
That's what I'm saying. With Conan not being around, what the fuck is Triumph doing? Speaking of blast from the past, I have to play the OJ Simpson clip.
You're a boy.
Dude.
Now, you sent me this. Did you see it? Did you just see it yourself on Twitter? Did somebody send it to you?
I just randomly saw. I follow OJ on Twitter, but I don't go to his stuff.
Right. How many different murderers do you think you follow? It's a great question, right?
It's probably the only murderer. Let's define murderer.
Someone who murdered somebody.
I'm trying to think do I follow any presidents or ex-presidents? You could technically be you're a murderer.
Yeah. But no, I would say direct.
He's probably the only one.
I bet you he's not. I bet you you follow at least one other. How many people you follow on Twitter?
Not many. On Twitter, I only follow, let's see here, 525 people. He's got to be the only murderer.
There's got to be another murderer in the mix there.
Maybe. But I saw this.
You don't follow Ray Lewis?
No, I don't. I knew you were going to say that. I don't follow Ray Lewis. But when I saw this, I couldn't, I had so many questions. Because why is he doing this? And why is he showing it? So for the record, he shows up to Leslie Nielsen's gravesite.
Yeah. So are you going to play the whole thing? Because he says he's somewhere in Florida and he's at a bar or something. And somebody tells him basically Leslie Nielsen's buried near here. And he's like, well, guess I got to go. Juice has got to run.
Little Twitter world, it's yours truly, OJ Simpson. And the thing is, it's so weird to me.
What's up, cemetery? It's OJ.
He's doing a selfie. Well, he always does the selfie videos. But the thought, again, this guy's dead. So now you're bringing his family into this. See, that's all I'm thinking. Dude, his family's just minding their own business, his kids or whoever. And suddenly OJ shows up to his grave and he's like, I'm going to tell you a story about the time he acted like he farted, but he had a whoopee cushion. And it's so, dude, I don't care if it wasn't OJ. Who's doing this? Who's showing up to someone's grave and doing
that's why it happens. It's because only somebody like OJ would be like, this is totally it. Like OJ killed 2 people and then joined Twitter.
It's
like,
wild.
What? OJ on Twitter is like, hey, Juice, I hate to be, a buzzkill, but maybe you shouldn't be on Twitter since at this point you're most famous for being a murderer.
Yeah. Well, I am going to play it, and it's just so funny to me because it's so ridiculous that, again, I still watch these things and I'm like, is this real life? Because he's so happy. Dude, he's the happiest double murderer I've ever seen.
Well, he was never convicted.
And he's just so happy. So this is what he's saying. And obviously, real quick, as we know, love Naked Gun, love all the Naked Gun movies. And that's why, to me, it's like even crazier.
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly, in what is an unusual spot, as you can see. I spent a lot of
For the record, you all have to watch the video. It obviously does more justice, but it's still funny.
time this time of the year in South Florida. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, and a guy on the beach said, a good friend of yours is his final resting place was only 5 minutes away. I had said who, and he told me who. I couldn't believe it, and I came over here, and Leslie Nielsen, one of the funniest, nicest people I've ever met. And look at Leslie. He's got a bench. It's typical Leslie. Leslie was great.
He goes, it's typical. What's typical Leslie that he has a bench?
I just like he goes, he got a bench. Typical Leslie.
He got a bench. It's crazy.
Great. We did 3 Naked Gun movies together. Leslie was the kind of guy, he was always trying to crack you up. If you had a close up and he was talking to you and it was over the shoulder, he'd be making faces, doing everything to try to get you to laugh. But the funniest thing that ever happened to me with Leslie was, I don't know, we were at Paramount or somewhere, but we're going up the elevator, and we get in the elevator. There's a couple of ladies and a guy in the elevator. The door closes, and he says to me, oh, Juice, I shouldn't have ate that burrito. And he lets out this like a triple decker. Now,
can we what is he talking about? Like, first of all, it sounds like you're doing a burp, but you're doing a fart. What is a triple decker?
Sounds like he's doing the intro to a Rasta song. He's like, Leslie got in the thing, and he's like, not a mercy.
The fuck is he talking about? And then he says triple decker. Is he eating a sandwich? What is he farting?
Just a triple decker.
I've never heard a fart referred to as a triple decker. Okay, OJ, keep telling us the story.
Now, I know Leslie, and everybody that knows Leslie knows he's always got this whoopee cushion with him, and we know that's what it is, but the people in the elevator didn't. And you should have seen their faces. And then he apologizes to him, and as we're about to get out of the elevator, he lets the longest one you've ever heard out.
Oh, you got the croup in the middle of the story?
You know what's great? He's fake laughing.
Yeah.
Like OJ right now is fake. Dude, you're fake laughing. This isn't a real laugh.
All I can think about, this is yesterday, right?
Correct.
This is a Sunday afternoon at a cemetery.
12:27 p.m.
So somebody after church goes to visit their dead relatives at a cemetery in Florida, and they're like, Mom? She's like, yeah, honey. I think that might be OJ Simpson over there doing a TikTok. I think
So true.
I think OJ might be over there filming a Rasta video. Lord of mercy.
I can't. This is too much. It's so true. 12:30 on a Sunday afternoon when most people just go visit a loved one. Oh, God. Let me finish this up.
And these ladies are going, oh my God, and I'm outside the elevator looking back in, and they're covering their noses as if they can smell something. But I know it's a joke, and I think Leslie is going to tell them. Oh, no, it's just, but he doesn't. And that elevator door closed. I look over at Leslie said, I can't believe you didn't let them know you were just kidding. But that was Leslie, and I'm sure they're telling that story to this day. Great guy. Leslie, buddy, rest in peace.
I mean,
I don't think that they're telling the story the same way OJ thinks they're telling that story. I don't think these ladies are going around like, I used to work at Paramount as a secretary. And one time, Leslie Nielsen, famous for his Naked Gun series, he fought it in the elevator with me. I think what's happening is the other lady's like, Susan, you're leaving out the best part. Remember, we were secretaries at Paramount and we got in the elevator and there was the murderer fellow there. And the one guy fought it and the murderer fellow didn't murder him. Fought it. He gave us a triple decker. And that guy went out to slaughter his wife and a waiter.
I mean, it's so true. It's so true. Oh, my God. Here's the thing, man.
You always tell the story about the guy fighting, but you never tell the story about the guy with a bloody knife.
Oh, I can't get enough, man. Like, I know it wore off for a lot of people since he joined Twitter, but there are people out there, shout out to my little brother, because he's the same way, where we just laugh. And people say I'm crazy because I'm like, this is too much. This is too funny. It's like a time warp.
I know. And what's crazy is like that people get like, I'm always amazed at what people get upset about and what they don't get upset about. You know what I mean? They're like, Louis C.K. won a Grammy. I'm like, yo, OJ's on Twitter, guys. Louis C.K. jerked off in front of some people. They gave him an award for his comedy album. We're just letting a guy who like turned his wife into a Pez dispenser walk the streets and use social media.
It is crazy, man. It's nuts.
And I saw that the other day. So he goes, Louis C.K. got a Grammy. How dare they? I'm like, Michael Jackson has 11 of them.
Yeah, I know, man. God, I never thought of what you were saying about the Sunday after church. I can't even imagine being at my parents' gravesite and being all serious and like weepy eyed. And you look over and OJ's got his phone up, just, doing his thing. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? And the crazy part is, I think he's being honest. I think he was at the beach. He said, I was at the beach and my friend was like, you got to leave right now. And I just did.
I get that content. Content is king.
But I don't know what he's doing because he's not monetizing it. That's what I haven't figured out with
not yet.
I mean, how long is he gonna wait? Like, how long are you gonna wait? I just don't get it. I just don't get it, Juice. You're crazy, man. You're crazy. Speaking of monetizing and money, I learned something. I've learned a few interesting things about his old employer, the NFL, as far as how money's handled. And I think you might find this interesting, something I never knew. I'm going to play a call real quick about how guaranteed money works with players in the NFL. Because I think it's fascinating.
What's up, boys? Interesting thing about the Deshaun Watson contract, listening to the radio, they're saying that the owners aren't only angry about the fact that it was $230 million to somebody who had all those civil cases and all the information that hasn't come out about how long he could be suspended. But also, all of guaranteed money for NFL teams has to be put in an escrow account. So the Cleveland Browns have committed $230 million in cash to this, and they were just saying that some NFL teams or lots of NFL teams don't have the liquidity to be able to just put up $230 million in a bank account and be able to pay their players over the years. I just think it's really interesting that that is part of the CBA and part of the Players Association. They agreed to that. Pretty interesting. So have fun and stay dirty.
Thank you, John Smith, for that tidbit of information. And
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So this is how it works. He's right. So this is in relation to the CBA. So any guaranteed money above 15 million must go into an escrow account. And this article that I pulled up talking about it, which is a recent article, that's exactly what it's saying. What he said in the call is it creates, with that contract being so big, and now the pending contracts of, let's say, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, the argument is, dude, I don't know if some of these teams will have that amount of cash readily available. And that's what the article is saying. It specifically says Herbert, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Kyler Murray, and it brings up each team's financial situation. And it's saying, look, do the Chargers just have that on that cash on hand? Right now, they don't. They're technically in debt right now. So
that's wild.
Something.
I also think we found Juice's next crime. He's like, you're telling me they got all that money in escrow? I'm gonna be escrow Jay. I'm gonna rob escrow. They're like, it's not like a actual place. I think we should OJ 11 it. Me get 10 friends, just like George Clooney did. And we escrow Jay. Where I go in with a mask and a knife and I rob the escrow.
Dude, it's crazy. Like, it really is, because if you don't have it, how do you pay it? Like I never knew that. And I don't know. It's pretty interesting. And another interesting thing that came out, speaking of money, we might finally have the death sentence for Daniel Snyder, because it's come out that Daniel Snyder did something that I would see straight out of a mafia or mob movie. He kept 2 books to hide team finances. Congress is currently investigating the Commodores, the Commanders. I don't even care what they're called. Commodores, Commanders. Right now.
The Commodores. Wasn't that something they have? Hello, Commodore.
No, it's the group. It's the Soul Group from the 70s.
Yeah.
But by the way, much better mascot.
Yeah.
Played by Lionel Richie. Well, he was in the Commodores, right?
I don't know. Was he?
Yeah, I think he was in the Commodores. I'd play a clip. Wasn't he in the Commodores?
Yeah, he was at some point. You're right.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I don't know any Commodore songs off the top of my head.
Yeah,
though.
you do.
I mean, I'm sure I do, but I don't. But off the top of my head, I don't.
I can't play it because we're on YouTube and Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Sunday morning. It's
Sure.
actually great. It's actually a great song. Anyway,
that's what the Redskins should have become. The Commodores. And then on the way into the stadium, everybody's like, easy like Sunday morning at FedEx Field.
That's what I'm saying. They should have. So
Daniel Snyder thought keeping 2 books and robbing the NFL was going to be easy.
I refuse to believe that they didn't know about this. So let me explain this, because it gets kind of confusing, but it's really not that confusing. So NFL teams, which is something else I did not know until I read this article.
I did not know that.
NFL teams do not keep all of their ticket revenue as far as the home team. And they don't share it with the away team. You would think that would be the thing they would do. They don't. So this is how it works. When an NFL team has a home game, 40% of the gate of every game goes into a league-wide pool that is equally given out to all 32 teams. So 31 teams in this case, right? Because there's one team as the home team. So 40% of that money that they make on tickets goes out to the other 31 teams. Now, home teams do get to deduct 15% of the total ticket revenue for expenses. So basically, the net split is 60-40. We take 60%. The rest of the league splits 40. They're saying Snyder was not giving that 40% out to the other 31 teams. So according to sources, if this is true, he was getting his 40% from the other 31 teams, but not ponying up his 40% to the other teams. Now, I think this is crazy that he could be hiding this from other owners who all they care about is money.
Right.
Which makes me come to this conclusion. I think you might be on board on this. Are they keeping him around because he knows too much and they don't want him talking?
Right. He knows something else.
Something else about the NFL? Like Jerry Jones has a sex island or something?
I mean, at this point, what's going on in the NFC East? Jerry Jones, I mean, that's what's come out this offseason is Jerry Jones has a sex island where he keeps all his illegitimate children. And Daniel Snyder is just robbing the NFL.
Just robbing. Not just
the Eagles. The Eagles owner's just spitting on children as they come into his stadium.
By the way,
it's nice to be the class of the division.
Yeah, too bad you guys can't win.
Yeah. Oh, that's all changing real soon, Andy.
Well, the Jerry Jones thing has actually, and I'll just go over it briefly. Since our last episode, more has come out. You know how they said he had paid a couple $100,000? No. Jones has now paid nearly $3 million to the woman who says she's the biological father. He also, this is wild.
But there was another paternity thing that came out this offseason, right? Wasn't there a different woman that came out?
No, this is her.
Okay.
Dude, you're going to love this.
This is just the American Airlines woman?
Yeah, this is the American Airlines woman's daughter.
Okay.
Who's 25. So now it's been leaked from Jerry Jones's actual lawyer. Dude, when I read these quotes, you're going to die. Jerry Jones, for this woman, the American Airlines flight attendant's daughter, who's named Alexandra Davis, he's given $3 million to her, including her full tuition at SMU, a $70,000 Range Rover on her 16th birthday, and a trip to, a trip to Paris.
I love that it's just Jerry Jones is just giving her the showcase showdown. He's like, yeah, a new car, which you'll drive to the airport for your round trip to Paris. That's not all, Alexandra. You'll learn French for your trip during 4 years at SMU.
That's a great point. This is wild. Dude, but this is where it gets even funnier. So this is coming from Jerry Jones' lawyer. So you'd say,
all right, Alexandra, what is your bid on the Showcase Showdown? I bid $1 and the fact that Jerry Jones is my father. That's right. You win.
They won't admit it, though. They still won't admit. I'm going to read a direct quote. This is too much. So this is from Jerry Jones' lawyer. He says, on numerous occasions, I have made payments on behalf of Mr. Jones to Cindy and Alex and Alex Davis. Jack said in a statement.
Did you just call her Alex first?
Sorry. I thought it was
Rutherism. And his daughter, Alex.
Dude, I'm trying to read too much. So his lawyer, who is what's his lawyer's name? Does it really matter? Sorry, I'm trying to find his lawyer's name so I don't fuck that up, even though I've already messed everything up. All right, Don Jack. I mean, what a great lawyer name, Don Jack. That's his lawyer, Don Jack. So he again is saying, on numerous occasions, I have made payments on behalf of Mr. Jones to Cindy and Alex Davis. There we go. He says for monthly payments for child support, which ultimately totaled over $2 million. Jones has not acknowledged that Davis is his biological father. Asked why he used the term child support in his statement, Jack said, I used the term child support because that's what the agreement calls it. When asked if child support payments indicate that Jones is Davis's father, Jack paused for 5 seconds before saying, I am not going to answer that one. My statement speaks for itself. So literally it's written for child support. And Jerry Jones and his lawyer are refused. Dude, again, is this reality? They're refusing to admit that this is his daughter.
It's like going to the fucking get pizza and being like, how much is it? And the guy's like $18. You're like, you know what? I think you should give it to me free, but here's 18 as a tip for you. This is for you. Appreciate the free pizza. He's like, it's not free, sir. You're paying for it. He's like, no, you keep this for yourself. Sir, I'm just going to put that in the cash register because it's you buying a pizza. No. I'm taking this pizza for free and I appreciate it. So this is a little bit for you. Just put this in your pocket.
Dude, it's absolutely
Sir,
nuts.
I'm just going to give you a receipt that says it's for pizza. I don't need it. You can't tax tips. So that's for you.
Yeah, it's wild. Like you said, what is going on in the NFC East?
It's like Jerry Jones is just using Venmo. He's like, listen, I'm just going to make the note for anal. Butt stuff. Can you just put child support in the note? He's like, no, we'll just do a goofy one.
It's pretty funny though, man. And with the stuff happening with Washington, if true, and they don't get rid of Dan Snyder, that's the only logical explanation. They don't want him revealing what really goes on or some other wild shit in the NFL. Because if he was scamming 31 other owners, you know how tight those guys are.
Yeah.
As far as with their money. I don't know. As a Giants fan, you probably want Snyder there as long as possible.
And Jones. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the best.
I mean, it's Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yeah. Just at owners meetings, like throwing shots at each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, Snyder, how the Commodores doing? It's like, funny you should say that, Jerry. I heard you paid your daughter once, twice, 3 times $1 million.
I mean, he legit is giving her prices right for the child support. It's wild. Trips to Paris. Oh, I didn't even read one. She also got a trip to study abroad after she graduated. I honestly think he was watching The Price is Right. And he was like, how do I pay off this girl? How do I pay her off?
And how are you going abroad to London on your new pontoon boat?
Hell, throw in some McRiddles. I don't care. Give her a McDonald's franchise. I don't care. Those teams will never succeed with those guys owning them. Like never. Not even close. In fact, I bet you they've won a combined.
I would love if Jerry Jones was just like bringing this up and like, we got to pay Dak or he's going to leave. It's like, well, let's give him $40 million. I gave my daughter $3 million. Fucking, I don't even like her.
But not one dot.
40 million seems like a right number to me.
It's unbelievable. It really is, man. I can't get enough of it, Prano. I can't get enough of this. Again, it's so ridiculous. The lawyer will not even admit. It's like Bill Clinton during the Monica Lewinsky when he says, define what the word is.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Crazy times, Joe. Crazy times. Luckily, I have our friends at Harry's to keep me looking sane and fresh. How do you like
Nice.
that segue?
Nice.
Not the best that I've
Not
ever
the best.
done.
Nice.
Definitely not the best, but hey.
You know how Daniel Snyder was skimming off the top from the NFL? Well, if you need to skim off of the top of your face a little bit, make sure you use Harry's razors.
That's how you do it, Joe. I appreciate. I threw up a wild pass for an alley-oop, and you took it and you dunked it. And
I Grant Hill in the 90 Final Four it pulled it from back here.
Yeah.
Still somehow got it down.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
and
no
I'm glad that you mentioned NCAA basketball and the tournament and everything because Harry's was an underdog, as you know. They came out of nowhere. I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of them. We started working with them back in 2015.
There were a bunch of other blue blood razor companies that we will not name during this things. A lot of one seeds out there.
Correct.
Harry's razor started as like a 14,
St. Peter's.
Totally.
Yeah. And now
they took down the champs.
They really have, guys. And
they went at the big boys and they survived.
And they just sent me one of their new trial sets, which I love. I believe you should have got some too. And guys, if you have not taken advantage of this, you really should. New customers can redeem a Harry's trial set for just $3 when you go to harrys.com/dirty sports. And I've been using them for 6-7 years. So is Joe. It really gets you a nice, close, comfortable shave and lots of savings over time. Once again, Harry's is giving their best offer to all the listeners. That's you, Dirtballs. New Harry's customers can redeem a starter set. You get a 5-blade razor, a weighted handle, foaming shave gel with aloe, and a travel cover to protect your blades when you're on the go. That's a $13 value for just $3. There's truly never been a better time to go to harrys.com/dirty sports to try Harry's today. So go ahead and do that. All right. Let's talk a little NBA.
Love it.
Season finishing up here, Joe. Lots of surprises, I would say.
Absolutely.
Lots of disappointments.
Absolutely.
And lots of teams that I don't think people saw performing at the level that they're performing at. And I think one of those teams is the Memphis Grizzlies.
No doubt about it. But the Memphis Grizzlies, they're not just they didn't just get Ja Morant a few years ago and put a bunch of talent around it. I mean, they've drafted well in recent history, but the leap from lottery team to borderline playoff team to 2 seed in a difficult West has been quicker than anybody has seen. And I think most exciting, if you're a Memphis Grizzlies fan, is how quick it happened and the future that you've got ahead of you.
It's like you didn't even, it's like you looked at the rundown, but I know you didn't because we got a call.
That's great. Thank you.
We got a call about the Memphis Grizzlies and their future and what they're building down there.
What's up, fellas? This is Jew Boy. I was calling about the Memphis Grizzlies. Just seeing they are now 20-2, and they just beat the number 1 seed Suns without Ja Morant. As we all know, Ja Morant is unbelievable, top maybe 10 player in the league now. Have you ever seen a team do something like this without their best player? And I'm starting to wonder if they are going to be the next San Antonio Spurs. It just feels like they kind of got that vibe. Their coach obviously knows what the fuck he's doing, and they got that superstar in Morant and just need to build off of it. So 20-2, just beat the number 1 seed Spurs or Suns. He's ever seen anything like this? Like,
off the top of my head, I do not know of another team that has, performed at that level without not just their best player. I'm sure there's been a team that's performed that way without their best player, but not without a player that's so head and shoulders, like, I don't want to say better than his teammates, but like to basically to lose one of the elite players in the league and still do this is really, 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 really surprising.
Could be wrong, but I believe that 2007 Rockets team that won like 20 something in a row all did it without Yao.
Right. Now they had McGrady, who's arguably their best player.
But I'm just tossing out something.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. That's a great one. And that's the one I was thinking of as well.
Now, San Antonio did this for years.
That's the thing, is like
longevity.
I mean, yeah, but also Spurs went out and won. Like, I think they won Duncan's rookie year.
First or second year.
Because I think they ended up getting the top pick because Robinson got hurt. Remember? Robinson got hurt. They essentially tanked. They were a better team than having the number 1 overall Duncan went number 1 overall, I think.
He did.
Yeah. So they were a much better franchise and much better put together team than one that goes 1 overall. They
won his second year.
Yeah. They essentially tanked, got a great player, and were immediately good. And then over the course of basically his entire career are, one of the best teams in the league, win 5 times. It's a big leap to call anybody the next Spurs. But I absolutely think that even more so than like, a young Phoenix team who was in the NBA Finals last year, or like a young, Mavs team who's also led by a young superstar, you got to love the future of Memphis. Kind of like, I'm going to argue the most of anybody in the league in terms of potential, since they're doing what they're doing and they're so young and they've drafted so well and they're playing this well without Ja. And it's just like, it's such a team, it's just such team winning.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's team. And that's what the Spurs did.
And listen, that'd be awesome if Ja Morant and Memphis like get a couple championships. But right now, if you ask me to put my net worth on, do the Memphis Grizzlies win 5 championships in the next 20 years? I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, they'd be lucky to win 2.
But they have the potential to be competitive for a very, 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 very long time. So maybe that's what he means.
Yeah. The turnaround has definitely been remarkable.
It's one of the great calls by Tug Coker and I. I sold him on it. I sold him on Ja, number 1 overall, when we watched March Madness. He bought in. And I mean, it's looking like a no-brainer at this point.
It's just such a guard-driven league at this point. And looking back on that pick, it's almost wild to think it wasn't an easy number 1. Again, it's a guard-driven league.
That's what I said, but everybody goes Zion, generational. And you're like, I don't know, aren't point guards like what we're doing?
Yeah. Exactly. And that goes any level. It really does. It goes any level. I mean, you go down to the grade school level. If you have a point guard, a kid who can control, who knows how to pass, who knows how to score, high school, college, you've seen the same thing in the NCAA tournament, right?
Yeah.
The teams that are advancing far have good guard play. And obviously that's what's dominated the NBA. And Zion, as we know, obviously is just been injury prone, but I don't know. It does look good for them, and they're finding guys too that maybe have been other places that just fit well in their system,
Absolutely.
like a Steven Adams or something.
Yeah.
Because
you can go out and spend the money on those guys when you're the bulk of your scoring and the bulk of your talent, if you will, is coming out of a draft instead of, going out and signing a big free agent.
Yeah.
I mean, Steven Adams got paid by them, if I recall, but it's not like he was like a max player.
Sure. Now their future looks bright, and you look at a team like the Lakers, and it's just sad, I'll say. Like Anthony Davis was blaming the injuries, and then I saw something that I liked on Twitter. He's blaming injuries for this season. And I'm going to read his quote. I think the biggest thing that I think about personally is what we could have been had we stayed healthy all year. And then he goes on about him and LeBron and blah, blah, blah. But here's what I want to read. This tweet, what I saw. So he's blaming the health. Games played this season. LeBron, 56, Anthony Davis, 38, Paul George, 28, Kawhi, 0. The Clippers are way better than the Lakers. Now, I know the Clippers have a better overall roster.
Yeah.
But I don't like the injury. Like, I don't know. My point is those guys haven't had their two stars way less than.
Well, the bottom line is the Clippers, have a much better roster. The Lakers are built around LeBron and AD, but the rest of their roster is trash. And they let guys go that they could have had cheaper than guys they brought in. And, I don't think anybody saw. I've never been a Russell Westbrook stan by any means. But I don't think anybody saw him falling off like this. I'm obviously the world's greatest Carmelo Anthony hater. And you bring in him, a guy who's just going to stand around, try to get his own, not play defense, not move without the ball. Like, it's just a terribly constructed roster.
And that's the one constant too. Those other guys were injured. Russell Westbrook has played every game but one.
Which I said, where I was wrong was I said, Russell Westbrook essentially kind of, in my opinion, brought in to be the guy who could take over games against lowly, the shitty teams in the NBA on a random night in January where LeBron's out and AD's out. Because Russell Westbrook has been competitive on teams where he was essentially the only guy. Competitive, getting in the playoffs, getting an 8 seed, being a 9 seed. But like the Lakers, I think, are the 7th or 8th worst team in the NBA record wise.
They're 31-47.
Yeah.
They're 16 games below 500.
Yeah. And essentially completely out of it at this point. I believe they're 2 games behind the Spurs with 4 to play or something like that.
Yeah, they have the 8th worst record out of all the NBA teams. But I think we're seeing this in a lot of teams. Look, I know obviously the Brooklyn situation with injuries and Kyrie, but they're a 10 seed right now.
Right, they're a 10 seed, but what's their record? They're 10 games over 500.
No, they're only 2 over, but still.
Okay, 2 over, but they're 19 games better than the Lakers. Everybody is giving up on the Nets. I haven't given up on the Nets entirely. I know there was a time where it was like, oh, you don't want that Nets if you're the 3 seed or the 2 seed, you don't want a 6 seed or 7 seed Nets. And a lot of people are like, no one gives a shit because they can't stop anybody. And Ben Simmons is no sign of him playing ever. And Kyrie's fallen off now that he's like not playing once a week and just being like a fucking starting pitcher that comes in once every 5 days and goes off for 50. But I am not out on Kevin Durant being able to single-handedly essentially win a random playoff series, even against a better team. I'll tell you one thing for sure. Joe Prano's NBA playoff betting zigzag. I'm betting the Nets in game 1 of whatever series, provided they make it through the play-in round.
That would be Miami, right? If Miami holds court with the number 1 seed.
Well, I mean, yeah, but any team that's in the play-in still has an opportunity to be the 7 or 8 seed.
Oh, okay. I always forget that. I don't think Miami's lost a game since that Butler fight with his coach, with Spoelstra. They've won 4 in a row. I think since that off the court squabble, I think they've won every game.
Maybe where's Brooklyn at right now? 9?
They're 10.
They're 10. Okay, so maybe they don't have the potential to move up to 7. Because whoever loses that 7-8 game, or whoever wins that 7-8 game is 7.
I'm getting confused. All these sports, the different changes of the playoffs.
Right.
Baseball, I'm confused.
The 9-10 seeds have to win 2 games just to get in. The 7-8 seeds have to lose 2 games to be knocked out.
Okay.
So the 7-8 teams play. The winner of that becomes the 7 seed. The 8, the loser of that game plays the winner of 9-10, and the loser of that is out. So yeah, Brooklyn finished 10. They wouldn't be able to move up to 7.
Gotcha. Well, every team in the East has a winning record that's going to make the playoffs. Not so in the West.
Correct.
Which again, it's just crazy to think how much the Lakers fell off to not be able to beat some of these, to not even make the playoffs.
Caruso curse. They may never get back.
I like it. Do people say that?
I say it. He was playing great for the Bulls. He was.
I like the Caruso curse. It's got good alliteration too. Who would play if they were doing like an updated version of Winning Time? Who's Caruso?
It's a great question. I know he's a little older, but I wouldn't hate J.K. Simmons. He's just such a great actor.
J.K. Simmons. You said he's a little. That's unbelievable.
I love it.
J.K. Simmons. He's probably 40 years older than Alex Caruso.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, right?
Dude, he might break a hip if he took a charge, even acting.
Or like I would go, I mean, I know it's he's got to be 2 full feet shorter than him, but like a Tom Hardy.
Unbelievable.
Tom Hardy loves to do like the shaved head thing.
Tom Hardy's he's got too much muscles though.
You shave your head bald. I was born into it.
They're listing him at 5'9" on
Tom Hardy.
No way.
Yeah, Tom Hardy's 5'9" if he's standing on top of fucking his Bane outfit.
Hello, Batman. I'm here to take a charge. I don't know who that was.
1920s gangster. There's the guy who came up with the fucking Daniel Snyder fucking. Yeah, I just skim off the top of the book. See, I'm Bane.
I'm Bane. See, I'm gonna blow up the stadium. See,
Bane. See,
everybody get over here. See,
if I blow up half the stadium, we can say there was 40% less people here and give the NFL less money.
Big Ben in that movie. They cut up to him.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Hans Ward, some of those other players. I think, Bill Cowher. Fun little dork fact. Are you ever going to go to the theater again? That's a good question.
Well, it's funny you should bring that up while talking about a Batman. First of all, I went and saw Jackass in the theater with Eddie Ift when we were in Chicago because we got snowed out and we were like, let's just go see Jackass. And I really wasn't feeling. I was like, we're going to go see fucking Jackass in the theater. It was the best decision of Eddie Ift. Best decision ever. I mean, it was incredible. But the fact that you said that, I have seen every non Ben Affleck Batman movie that's come out since Michael Keaton's within the first 48 hours that they were in theaters. Like, I can almost guarantee that. I still haven't seen the Batman.
Well, here's the thing. This is why I'm asking, because I was having this discussion with my brothers the other day. The new deal that Warner Brothers has with HBO Max gives them 45 days in the theater.
Right.
And then it goes to HBO. So even the new Batman with Robert Pattinson, that's not that long. So I believe it goes to HBO Max. I want to say like April 17th or April 18th. So we're just 2 weeks away. And that's why I asked.
You would think it is the kind of movie that you'd want to go see in the theater, though, right? Now, I've been especially busy, but I mean, any other time in my life, I would have seen it weeks ago.
I know, but I just think overall people don't care. And my argument, now you're definitely
that's what I'm saying, though. That's my point, is like, you might be right, because otherwise, what's my excuse?
I think in general, and now I'm not as big a moviegoer as you, for sure, throughout my life. But my thing, if I hear that it's only 45 days before it comes out on HBO, I'm not going to a theater. Most people have good TVs. They have good sound systems. I know we've talked about this. It's just, I just think it's fascinating that like the whole industry is being turned upside down at this point. Because again, 45 days, like you're saying, you get caught up in life. Like at this point, you have 2 more weeks. Would you wait the 2 more weeks, or would you?
Well, yeah, at this point I will, because I'll be on the road the next 2 weeks, Andy. I'll be at Schmiggity's in Steamboat Springs this weekend with Eddie If, Friday and Saturday at Schmiggity's. I'll be at the Vale Comedy Show next Thursday, April 14th, potentially with a added day on April 13th if we sell out, which Andy Ruther has basically assured us with the Andy Ruther curse. And then April 15th and 16th will be at the Denver Improv. So if you're in Colorado, come on out. I have new snowboard boots, new snowboard bindings. I'm going to shred for the first time since my injury early 2020. And we're going to shred the gnar. We're going to shred some comedy. So if you're in Colorado or a nearby area, come out and see me and Eddie in Steamboat Springs or Vail or Denver. All those are available on joeprano.com.
I did that all for you to plug.
Thank you, Andy. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's why I did that. Go see him. So if you see Joe, he'll have the money to go see Batman in the theater.
That's right. Maybe we'll get snowed out one day and Eddie and I will have to go see the Batman.
Yeah. I don't know, but I am not going to the theater. In fact, I don't think I've been to the theater since before the pandemic. I know for sure. Is that still a thing? Are we technically still in a pandemic?
I don't know. But we don't have to wear masks anymore, so that's a good sign of no.
That's what I would argue. Anyway, if I said who's coming out of the East and who's coming out of the West right now, can you pick?
The West is a lot tougher than the East for me. I think I might still go. I know this is crazy. I think I might still go Milwaukee in the East.
I like it.
Giannis coming on strong. I just think Philly, they might put it together, but a little too erratic for me so far. Boston, like an incredible turnaround, but I don't like Boston over Milwaukee. I'm if you were like, you have money to bet on one team making it to the NBA Finals, I think I'd bet on Milwaukee. Miami, obviously the 1 seed, but I don't know. I'm still on Milwaukee a little bit. I'm going Milwaukee out of the East.
Do they play Will Smith's Welcome to Miami during their show or during their games? And has that been banned now because of the Oscars?
I don't know. I don't know. Out of the West is tougher for me. I mean, Phoenix is 7 games ahead of Memphis as the 2 seed. I mean, Phoenix is the best record in basketball by
by far.
7 games.
Yeah,
but I'm not a believer.
You don't think they can make back-to-back finals?
I think they can. But the sneaky Mavs.
I knew you were going to say that.
But I'm only going to. I mean, they're sneaky, and I kind of like them as like a dark horse to like bet on them to like get there because of the odds you'll get. But I don't like love them. I mean, they haven't gotten out of the first round with Luka yet, and I think that's generally how it goes. Like, could I see them making a Western Conference Finals? Yeah, but you got to build somewhere. That being said, like Golden State's been like, Steph played really, really well to start the year. Then he went through a bit of a shooting slump, and now he's just like, kind of, he's certainly not in the MVP conversation, and I think they need him to be. Memphis is just too young.
Sure.
I mean, Jokic is so good, but Denver a 5 seed. I mean, Denver's gonna have to play Dallas to start the fucking thing. I don't know.
What about Nikki D's Utah Jazz?
I think they have 0% chance of making the NBA Finals.
0.
Yeah. I think that team is about to be dismantled one way or the other. Here's the thing. It's going to be the NBA playoffs are going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I mean, your top 4 in the East: Miami, Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia. Let's just say everything goes as planned. That's a fucking pretty amazing second round.
Yeah, for sure.
Phoenix, Memphis, Golden State, Dallas. I don't think that'll be the 4 teams. Maybe that. Well, guess I do if I think Dallas has a chance. They're not going to lose to Denver. I mean, but like even like a Minnesota-Memphis series, as much as I love Memphis and as much as we just said, like that'll be crazy. I mean, honestly, a Phoenix Clippers series, if the Clippers end up in an 8 seed, will be a good series.
Yeah. Let's see here. When do they start? Saturday, April 16th.
I'll be watching NBA playoffs in the green room of the Denver Improv.
It's a great blog.
Yeah. I'll be watching opening day of baseball on my way to Steamboat Springs for shows.
You've mastered the personal plug. You've mastered it. That's great. Well, here's a plug for us.
Yes, Andy. Those are all great shows for me to poop on. We're doing visual bits.
Hotline 310-359-8365. Give us a ring. We're going to keep today's show a little short. I just got one quick call to play.
Great.
Besides the other ones we've played. So last week, I could play a second one, but I don't know if I want to get into that. Last week, I told everybody I had a dream, right? I had a dream where there's a tiger chasing me.
Yeah.
And you said that could be Tiger Woods. I said it could be a Bengal tiger. We have a dirtball who wants to break down my dream.
Now, before we get into that, I just want to bring this up. And I'm just throwing it out there. But like, since we just brought up Tiger Woods, are we putting out the tug signal again for a Masters preview?
I mean, I put it out for the tournament.
And he said, I'm too busy.
He said, fuck your couch.
Yeah.
That's what he said. He basically went full Rick James.
Yeah.
He seemed a little too busy.
Okay.
I mean, I have no problem putting out the tug signal again.
I mean, maybe we just let the dirt balls do it. Like, if you guys want to tug on, maybe just tweet a tug watch. Tugger watch.
Yeah. Is that this weekend?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, here's a dirtball dissecting my Tiger dream.
Hey guys, I'm going to keep it short and sweet, not to piss off Ruther, but I think it's very obvious what this dream means. It's a tiger, right? It's not just a tiger. It's a Bayou Bengal tiger. And that tiger is Joe Burrow. And throughout your whole dream, you think that the tiger's trying to kill you. That tiger just wants to love you, Ruther. It's time for you to love him back. Put your faith in the Bengals again. That tiger just wants to love you. All right, boys, stay dirty.
All right. So
I like this theory. This tiger is trying to get you, not to pull you into its cave and devour you, but to make you a part of its clan. It's going to drag you in with the rest of the tigers and paint your face like you're at a 7-year-old girl's birthday party. You are now one of us tigers, is what that tiger is trying to say. It's like the Jungle Book. That tiger wants to raise you.
well, look, I have been very open about how great I think Joe Burrow is, and he's the real deal. And I said this last episode. I think he's been the most important athlete to the city of Cincinnati in my lifetime. I mean, that says a lot. 40 years. Again, guys, it's complicated. Like you just can't get back on when you've just been fed a bad meal year after year after year, or cheated on year after year after year. I will say they are spending money as an organization. It looks like they are doing the right things. Now, Mike Brown is in his mid to late 80s, so obviously his family maybe has figured it out who's calling the shots, but it's not going to be easy. That's all I'm saying.
You have an opportunity. I mean, even now you jump back on, you're kind of a bandwagon jumper.
100%.
They play well next year. You basically can never jump back on. So essentially it's over. You're never a Bengals fan again, unless Joe Burrow, goes full Carson Palmer.
Look, my thing has been open. It's been about Mike Brown. I'm sure everybody's sick of hearing it. It's been about him. I mean, who knows? There's a lot of talk in town about would they stay if they didn't get, the stadium deal, blah, 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 all this stuff, the leverage. These NFL owners are smart, how they do it. I don't know. I knew this much. He's in year 3. He's got a couple more years on that rookie deal. You got to win now.
Yeah.
That's what I do know, whether it's the Bengals or any other team.
I'll tell you one thing. Bengals don't have $500 million to put in escrow for Joe Burrow.
I was just going to say that.
If they did, they would add a fucking indoor facility.
Yeah. I was just going to say that. And again, you can put all those young teams, like I said, the Bengals, the Chargers, all those teams with young QBs that don't have the money to put in escrow. You better win now. Because if you don't, you're screwed. And by the way, the new Bill Stadium, which was approved, we haven't even talked about it, which is fine. $800 million of that is coming from public money. $800 million. I know the people of Cincinnati are not going to pay for that shit again because they already did it for the Reds and Bengals 20 years ago. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. As we all know, the AFC and the AFC North is going to be a lot of fun. Who knows? I do want to see if Deshaun Watson gets suspended.
That'd be interesting.
I don't know where I'm leaning. Anyway, give us a ring, 310-359-8365. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Dirty Sports. I'm at Andy Ruther. Joe has various social medias you can follow him on.
I'm at Joe Prano on all of my social media, except for Twitter, where I'm Fix Your Life. I gave you those Colorado dates before. I'll be there, and then I'll be in New York the April 21st to May 5th. Keep an eye on my social media for shows in the New York City and surrounding areas. But like I said before, and like I'll say again, follow me on everything. And if you're in Colorado, come to some of my shows.
Cool. All right, guys, that's the show. Drink Miller Lite like Joe's showing. Support us. Support our friends at Miller Lite. Support
Miller
all
Lite
our
just sent me a
sponsors.
fanny pack.
I got one too.
Man,
Did you get a 6-pack, a fanny pack, and a pair of socks?
I did.
I'm gonna tweet that out.
Yeah. Does the 6-pack fit in the fanny pack? Do beers fit in the fanny? I don't know, but I'm gonna find out right now.
Yeah, you should. You should check it out. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great